Good day, readers and viewers of Embassy Direct. Today, we're honored to be in the presence of the head of delegation of the International Red Cross in Southern Africa, Mamadou Sow. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Miss Lamini. It's a blessing to be in your presence today.
It's a pleasure to be in your presence. Excellency, how would you describe your diplomatic and personal tour in South Africa as the head of the International Red Cross thus far?
Thank you. It's been fascinating. I've been in South Africa for 2.5 years, and during this time, South Africa has been in the Security Council. South Africa has been chairing the African Union, and as of recently, South Africa has been chairing also the organ troika of SADC. So it has provided us a great deal of opportunity to engage South Africa as a government. And also to see how, together with them, we can further the upholding of human dignity, not only in Southern Africa and Africa, but globally.
So, for those who don't know what important role your organization plays in Southern Africa, could you tell our readers and viewers?
Yes, indeed. So we have been in Southern Africa since 1963. This is the first time we started working here in South Africa, starting with visiting prisoners who were then accused of security crimes, and they were really political prisoners. So we were visiting them in Robben Islands and other prisons around the country to make sure that they were treated humanely, that their conditions were correct, and that they were not mistreated. Eventually, we expanded this to prisoners across the country. Not only that, we started also helping the families of those prisoners to have news of their relatives. You know, when one person is detained, one of the hardest things that happen to the family is the lack of news of how the person is doing. So this is something we did since the 1960s and into the end of apartheid here in South Africa. And it was also great that we were able to be able to support those families because when the breadwinner is in prison, it's always difficult for those left behind. So we throughout those years, we were able to support those families. Of course, those were times also of great upheaval in Southern Africa. So there were wars taking place in Angola, in Zimbabwe, in Mozambique, and we were quite present there, helping the civilian population, but also talking to those who were fighting to continue to admonish them to uphold human dignity.
And can I ask, post apartheid, what then does your title entail?
Yeah. So today, I am covering the countries south of the DRC, with the exception of the Indian Ocean, and up until July, Mozambique. So a big priority has been Mozambique. As you know, this neighbor of South Africa has seen its northern part flared and became almost like an inferno. A dangerous and complicated conflict is taking place there. More than 900,000 people has been displaced, uprooted from their homes, and my colleagues are there every day trying to provide them with essential services in terms of revamping healthcare centers, revamping the water systems, providing them with food, and so forth. But also making sure that people who are fighting again respect their lives and their dignity. So this is in Mozambique. For the rest of South Africa, obviously, there are a lot of other activities that we do. Migration is a big problem in globally, but also in Southern Africa. So we work with Southern African leaders to make sure that migrants, regardless of their status, are respected, their human rights are respected, and they also are able to be in touch with their families. But most importantly, though, South Africa is a great leader in the world and in Africa. And because of that, we find out that there are a great deal of conversion in terms of values between us and South Africa. So we work with the South African authorities, be it here in South Africa, be it in New York, be it in Addis Ababa, or elsewhere, to use South Africa as a champion of international humanitarian law. So in a nutshell, these are some of the things that we do. But obviously, the beauty of South Africa, it's also that it's quite advanced. So we use also South Africa as an ecosystem where we bring other African practitioners to upscale their skills here. So for example, we bring a lot of forensic who come here to study about how to manage large-scale emergencies, and so yeah, we bring African solutions to African problems.
Could you share with our readers and viewers a brief historic background of the International Red Cross and obviously what you've done and how it came about, possibly?
Yes, thank you very much. So the International Committee of the Red Cross was founded in 1863. This was almost 100 years before the United Nations was created. It was founded in the battlefields of Europe, in some of the very dangerous wars, with a very fundamental premise, a fundamental principle that war has limits. And since then, we have taken that very important principles through two important tracks. One is the diplomatic track. So since its foundation, we have worked with governments throughout the years to make sure that there is enough conventions and rules and laws that make sure that war does have limits. So the Geneva Conventions were signed, and now it is the most universal treaty, and it basically tell all those who are fighting, be they military or otherwise, that you cannot fight anyhow. So you cannot use any weapons you want, but you cannot also, you have to protect those who are not fighting and who are no longer fighting. So women, children, the injured, etc. So that's the diplomatic part. And then you have the operational and practical part in the field. So since its founding and throughout the World War wars, the first one, the second one, the wars in the during the how do you call it? During the proxy wars in the Cold War, through the independence wars here in Southern Africa and others, through the wars of the global confrontation following 9/11 to now, to today, across the world, we are involved in the field, working very close to people who suffer from war, providing them with essential services, but also talking to anyone we can talk to make sure that their rights are respected and they are protected. So this is, in a nutshell, the history of our work. So as we speak now, we are about 20,000 people around the world who do this. Personally, I have worked in Afghanistan, I've worked in Iraq, I've worked in northeast Nigeria in the Boko Haram context. I've worked in Gaza and many other countries where we do the same. We do the same. So we represent the interests of people who suffer from these very dangerous wars that are taking place around the world.
Diplomatic missions have proven to be a source of business at the cities that they're based in, and they have a positive impact, obviously, on the host economy. What would be the best way to engage with your embassy for someone who's interested in possibly being a part of it or offer a service or products or whatever maybe that one person would like to?
Very good, very good, very good. So there's two parts to it. One is if someone wants to support us, and for this one, it doesn't matter what one studies. We have in our midst lawyers, doctors, nurses, engineers, etc., who work with us and who support us, provide solutions to all the problems that we encounter in war zones. So that means that when you, for example, when there is a war in northern Mozambique or in Gaza, as I mentioned, the infrastructures are broken. The sewage system is destroyed. The water systems are usually blown up. The healthcare facilities are attacked. And so our role is to go sometime and repair all these things. Sometime also healthcare workers, they flee the areas of conflicts because of the insecurity. So sometimes we recruit people who go and make sure that the dignity of people does not wait the end of the war, so that we can provide them with those services, even during the duration of those hostilities. So within us, you have a whole range of professions. So if South Africans want to join the Red Cross, yeah, they can reach out to us. We will be very honored to work with them. The second part is those who benefit from our work financially, and South Africa is definitely one such country. For example, our pilots who are now in charge of our air operations in Afghanistan and many other countries, they are South Africans. The planes are from South Africa. So the entire crews are South Africans, and they're great pilots. Huh? I've flown with them in Iraq. I've flown with them in other countries. They are exceptional. We purchase a lot of products here in South Africa. For example, wheelchairs that we distribute in Afghanistan for amputees. We ordered these things in here. Recently, we just purchased, how do you call it? Snake antidote. Yeah,
There it
that's it.
is.
That's it. So this, I don't know how we're gonna bring
I
that.
don't know either.
So we purchased that in here, and my obviously IT equipment, etc. Not just for what we do here, but for our operations globally. And moving forward, I would like to see more of this. Because again, we are very involved in Africa and elsewhere. South Africa is a great economy; it's a thriving economy, and I think we should be purchasing much more here in Africa. Obviously, in addition to what we buy, we also use the facilities and technologies and the expertise of Southern Africans. For example, here the universities, we partner with many universities, as I told you, many institutions to bring in other African practitioners to learn and exchange with their South African peers. So it's a great ecosystem, really, where we come in as humanitarians, where we have something to do to achieve here, but also we can leverage what South Africa have globally, and it's quite great. Yeah.
So, if South Africans do want to collaborate with the efforts of the organization, how does, I guess, like step by step, how does one actually go about doing that?
So yes, so they can either join us, the International Red Cross, or they can also join the Red Cross, the South African Red Cross, which is our sister organization that is active in South Africa in every province, being an auxiliary to the South African government, and they are very close to the population here and trying to provide them relief. So whatever your profession is, you can join your local branch of the Red Cross and join the the biggest, the largest humanitarian network in the world.
Excellency, how do you think your international organization can help to brighten the future of Africa and more specifically Southern Africa?
Yes, this is a very good question. You know, last year, 2020, 2010 was supposed to be the year of the silencing of the guns in Africa. You know, this very noble idea of bequeathing the next generation of Africans with a peaceful Africa. Obviously, we are not on target. You have, as we speak, wars taking place in Nigeria, in Cameroon, in Chad, in Niger, in Burkina Faso, Central African Republic, South Sudan, Horn of Africa, you know, Somalia. So not only you have the old wars that have been protracted, meaning they last so long, you have new wars that have also spring recently in Ethiopia and here in northern Mozambique. And very quickly they've reached the same level of complexity and they cause great deal of human suffering. So I think the key to hope for Africa, to a better Africa, must start with silencing the guns. We need to build from peace. Peace must be the foundation of the future Africa that we want. So my organization is playing its parts. You know, the key to silencing the guns in Africa, obviously, must start with redirecting the guns away from civilians, from women and children, and that's what we admonish people to do all the time. You see, I'm not a diplomat. I don't represent any country, but I represent people who suffer from war. So we do that with governments, we do that with rebels, we do that with military. We continue to admonish them to uphold human dignity. So that's one. But fundamentally, though, I do find hope in the youth of Africa, in people like you. In you know, in 30 years, well, I'm old, but you know, young people of the continent, you will be 40% of the world's youth. This is a powerful force for good, for Africa and for humanity. But it will be so only if we invest in this youth today. No? They have the drive, they have the excellence, they have the elegance to succeed. But it's today that we must invest in them. We must believe in them so they can believe in themselves. Invest in their education, invest in their health, invest in their future. And when I say education, I'm not just talking about the ability to read and write, but I'm talking about the ability to transform problems into solutions. To look at the challenges of our townships, of our neighborhoods, and turn them into opportunities for themselves, for the communities, and for all of us collectively. And I think when we do that, Africa will be thriving. Africa will have its place in the sun.
Thank you. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is Mamadou Sow, Head of Delegations at the International Red Cross.